If you're going to shoot, shoot. Don't talk. What is up, everybody? Hope you're having a great Monday night. I am definitely having a great Monday evening. And why? Because tonight we're going to be talking about the last of the spaghetti westerns. Well, technically not. There was at least one after tonight's movie, KEOMA, namely Manaja, A Man Called Blade. But this is regarded by most fans, including myself, as the last great spaghetti western. It's KEOMA from 1976. It was really the swan song for the subgenre. And, the subject of a lot of interest, this movie gets a lot of love. It also gets some hate too. And it's interesting because the things that people often hate about this movie are one of the things that those of us who love it really love it for. It's one of those movies that you don't love in spite of its flaws. You love it because of its flaws. Yo, Apex in the house, good to see you, man. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are appreciated. Everybody, if you get a chance, you're hanging out, smash that like button, smash that subscribe. I do appreciate it. Real quick, let me get to the bring back spaghetti westerns. Yeah, well, here's the thing. People have tried. And it's one of those things where I'm like, you have to let it go. You have to, it's the spaghetti western was a time, right? 1964 to about 1976, and a place, Almeria, Spain, and a culture, which was the Italian culture that was producing these films. And you're never going to be able to really recreate that. And I've seen so many filmmakers try, and they fail. And in some cases, miserably. And so I'm one of those guys that's like, you know what? They made enough in the genre. I mean, the influence of the spaghetti westerns you're going to see in so many things. Something really contemporary, like The Mandalorian, for instance. That's got a lot of spaghetti western in it. Django Unchained, obviously, that's a remake of a Sergio Corbucci movie. These are films that people, fell in love with. A lot of us came across, of course, the original Dollars trilogy, Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. We came across those movies on TV when we were kids and immediately fell in love with them. And I know I was one of those people that when I discovered that there was more, that the Sergio Leone movies weren't the only spaghetti westerns, that in fact, there were like 300 more, I was ecstatic. Problem is, they were very, very hard to find, and most of them didn't play on TV. The only way you could get them was VHS rips from Japanese laser discs with hard-coded Japanese subs. It was that way for a long time. That is before the advent of course, DVD. And once DVD came out, oh my God, you could finally see these freaking movies, and in pristine format too. The specific spaghettis that I'm going to be talking about tonight, like last week, I covered Django il Bastardo because I wanted to cover one of the Gothic spaghetti westerns, one of the Italian horror spaghettis, because that was like a sub genre. And because there are quite a few in the spaghetti western, there's like the circus western, the circus spaghetti westerns. That's a subgenre. The one that we're talking about tonight is basically the Twilight spaghetti. That is to say, the movies that were made at when the genre was clearly on its way out, and it was the end of an era. And those films have an elegiac quality. They were made by people that knew, like, yeah, this is like the last hurrah. There's probably not going to be many more, if any, after we do this film. California is a very good one with Giuliano Gemma. That's a big favorite with spaghetti fans. I love it too. For the Apocalypse by Lucio Fulci. You know, who's basically mostly known as a horror director. He did two spaghettis. Well, I think maybe three. That's like a Bullet for Sandoval. I think he co-directed that. And then there's Silver Saddle, which has Giuliano Gemma in it, and that's It's It's not great, but it's worth watching, at least if you're like, it's mid, but you know, if you're a Giuliano Gemma fan, man, I can't even talk tonight. If you're a fan of Giuliano Gemma, you know, it's certainly worth checking out. But yeah, for the Apocalypse by Lucio Fulci, this one's dark, just straight up dark, like really, really bleak and violent and twisted. Cutthroats 9, that's definitely one of the horror spaghettis. That's actually more like a splatter movie than anything else, because I know they shot extra footage to add like gore to the movie that previously hadn't been there. And and then of course we have KEOMA, which is really the last great spaghetti western, without a doubt. It stars Franco Nero, Django himself, and in fact, this was marketed in some markets in Europe, I think, and maybe also in Asia, as Django 2. But there'd also been a bunch of been 100,000 other movies with Django in the title. So, you know, I don't know if that helped it at all. And then this also, there's a movie called Jonathan of the Bears, with which Enzo and Franco did in 1994, and that movie was marketed as KEOMA 2, and then a little bit of a better case there, because basically that movie, it's like Grizzly Adams for the first hour. You're like, oh, I can't believe I'm watching this crap, How the Mighty Have Fallen, and then in the last half hour it turns into KEOMA, and you're like, oh, this is awesome. So it delivers in like the very like in the third act. Apex. At least we have spaghetti western comic like Six Gun Gorilla. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. You know, I'd be lying if I said that the Euro westerns weren't a big influence on my book. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at my campaign. You know, I don't normally do this on my streams, but I'm kind of getting a little less shy about it. I figure, okay, like, hey, if you enjoy this content and you'd like to see more of it, if you want to find a way of supporting me, or like supporting the stream, I should say. I'm not looking for charity here. Definitely check out my let's see. Apologies, I am boomering hard. And Streamlabs isn't that difficult either. So I don't know I don't know that I have a good excuse for boomerang StreamYards. It's pretty user friendly. But let's take a look at my campaign really quick. I'm really lucky. I'm like super blessed. I put out this comic about a gunslinging gorilla, not knowing if anybody was going to really vibe with it or like it, and much to my surprise and joy, people love it. I can honestly say that. It's been an incredible experience. I've been working on this book for like 10 years, and this campaign is for the final 2 issues, issues 9 and 10. Also, the volume 2 trade paperback. Now, if you're new to the world of Six Gun Gorilla, you can also get the first trade paperback. You can get the other issues, the first 8 issues, as floppies, and there's something for everybody. And also, if you want to kick the tires and see if this is your kind of a comic, guess what? You can download the first issue, the complete first issue, all 22 pages, for free by clicking right here where it says free digital download. I believe in my product, and what can I say? First one is always for free. So go check that out if you're inclined to. If you like comics, if you like Western comics, if you think you'd like a revenge Western comic with a gorilla with giant guns, yeah, this is right up your alley. Even people that really didn't think they were going to like this book ended up loving it, and I couldn't be, I couldn't be luckier. Let me put it that way. Okay, now I got the shilling out of the way. God, it always feels I don't have a problem shilling other people's stuff. I have a problem shilling my own stuff. At conventions, it's easy. I'm just kind of like, check it out. The art's really good. The writer, I don't know about him, but I could at least pimp the art. Anyway, KEOMA, the reason we are here tonight. Yes, 1976, Enzo Castellari, starring Franco, Nero, Woody Strode, William Berger, great cast in this. And the interesting thing is the origin of this movie was Luigi Montefiore, also known to Italian exploitation and horror fans as George Eastman, an actor. For instance, he played the killer in Anthropophagus, also known as the Grim Reaper, which is a really, really lurid splatter movie by the notorious Joe D'Amato. I love it, but a lot of people don't. It's nasty, though. But sometimes I like nasty shit. What can I say? George Eastman wrote a script, and everybody felt it wasn't up to snuff. And what happened was, when they were shooting the movie, they actually shot it without a script. There was no script when they made KEOMA. And that isn't entirely unusual when it comes to the kind of movies that we're talking about, which is to say, Italian movies from the 60s and the 70s. Now, normally that's disastrous. Understandably, right? You need a script. You can't just freestyle. But usually, if a movie's shot that you can tell the movies that were shot without scripts, because there's very little dialogue and the characters are often moving around in rooms silently, and they're like looking around a lot, like a lot of looking around, and they're basically terrible. This was some kind of a miracle. I think, the stars were aligned. and something amazing happened. I know that Joshua Sinclair was working on the script for this too. Like, he would actually, like, they would finish a day's shooting, and Joshua Sinclair, aka John Lafredo, we're going to be talking about that dude. Renaissance man, incredible human being. I don't say that lightly. When I tell you about Joshua Sinclair, you're gonna be like, "Damn, the dude's a Chad," right? He would actually write the next, like, every day at the end of shooting, he would sit down and write the next couple pages of the script that it would film the next day, and somehow it worked. Franco Nero also worked on the script, so basically it was like Franco Nero, Enzo Castellari, the director, with whom, Franco Nero had worked with many times before. Enzo, of course, God, man, Johnny Hamlet, Le Ultimo Squalo, The Last Shark, which is like a blatant Jaws ripoff. So much of a Jaws ripoff that, like, Universal actually stepped in and was like, okay, we know you Italians like to, like, rip off our movies, but now you got to stop. This is too much, because it's like basically Jaws every event just kind of condensed into like a 90-minute movie. That's awesome, by the way, and I do recommend it. And it's on Tubi. You can watch that shit for free. So they didn't have a script, and so they kind of freestyled this movie, wrote it as they were going along, and it really turned out fantastic. What can I say? A lot of people have a lot of affection for this movie. Now, oh boy, we're going to talk about that soundtrack too. Go now, save KEOMA. Now, if you've seen KEOMA, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you're probably just like, what the hell is he doing? But we're going to get to that. I'm going to show you some clips and everything, and hopefully we won't get yanked off the air. If we do, fuck it, shit happens. But wow, this is a movie that was a personal favorite of Franco Nero and Enzo Castellari. Both of them say that this is their favorite movie, and I don't know if it's Franco Nero's best film, but I know he said this was his favorite film and his favorite character. It's definitely Enzo Castellari's best movie. And it is, what can I say? It's the last of the great spaghettis. Take a look here at some of the posters. Didn't find too many great ones, unfortunately. Didn't find too many fan posters. This is the German poster, which is kind of cool. I don't know about Woody Strode's head, though. It looks like his body's like struggling. It looks like he has no neck. Because Woody Strode, he had to have been about, Woody Strode, we're going to talk about him, man. Woody Strode, man, he was a man's man. What can I say? Ex-Marine, had starred in some of the great classic Westerns. Sergeant Rutledge, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, both by John Ford, who basically really, in many respects, defined the Western genre. And I think he had to have been in his 60s when he made this. And dude was still ripped. You see him without his shirt in this, and you're like, yeah, damn, I hope I look half that good when I'm that age. But he was just amazing, and he's amazing in this. Really great cast. This is a very, very peculiar movie. It is surreal. It has some horror imagery. Apocalyptic, I think, is probably the best word to describe it. And that apocalyptic tone in KEOMA really fits with the whole tone that the film has as basically the last spaghetti Western. This is the swan song for the spaghetti Western. I showed, I think the second or third movie I covered on this stream was Fistful of Dollars. That's not the first Italian Western, but it's the first real spaghetti Western. That's to say, fully Italian, not imitating the American Westerns at all. If anything, imitating the Japanese samurai films and creating something completely new. So I think there were like at least one spaghetti after this, but this is really the swan song for the genre. And Franco Nero, of course, starring in this. Wow, man. It's a movie that's full of symbolism, but it never feels leaden. It has even a little bit of a political angle, but if there is a political angle in this, it's the way that political angles used to be done in movies, which is to say that if there's anything political, it's the subtext, not the text. That's to say, it's there if you notice it, if you're paying attention. It's not thrown in your face and jammed down your gullet like modern movies, right? Where it's like story and character and everything else is second and the message is front and center. They basically in contemporary movies put the cart in front of the horse, which is why I'm glad that we have a lot of these classic old movies. With the new shit's no good to watch, so at least we got the old stuff. Oh man, so a lot of different influences in this. Castellari was good at imitating other directors. In this, it's a really interesting combination because there's a little Ingmar Bergman. That's to say, there's a little bit of a feel of the Seventh Seal in this. There's loads of Sam Peckinpah. That's to say, gratuitous use of slow motion. And of course, a lot of Sergio Leone. But it's such a pastiche. It's really unique. It's really got its own feel and its own atmosphere. I think this is a case of a movie where you throw together a bunch of ingredients, you toss them in a blender and mix them all up and then pour them out. And what you get is actually something really delicious and cool, rather than something nasty. Let's see. Oh, thank goodness I've got my notes. I'm a little out of it today. But let me show you some of the original trailer. Well, actually, first also let me show you. This was the first DVD release of it, which came from Anchor Bay back in the early 2000s. Now, Arrow just came out with one that I don't have, but I'm looking forward to getting my mitts on at some point. Cool picture disc, nice little insert there of the poster, and this is one of those spaghettis that was never on TV when I was a kid. It was one of those movies that if you were a fan, you didn't see it, but you read about it, you heard about it, but you couldn't get your mitts on it. And then circa 2000, they just started busting these. And my goodness, now you can watch a ton of them free online. Down below in the description, there's a link actually. Originally it was a Tubi link, but people are always reluctant to click on Tubi links. I don't know why. They think that maybe they need to create an account. You don't. So I put in a YouTube link that will take you to a pretty good rip of this movie. I always want to cover a movie that's not behind a paywall. So if you're like, damn, that sounds great, you can actually watch it after the stream. Or if you're like Dillard, you can just be like, well, fuck this, I'm going to watch the movie now and bail out. That's all good, man. I'm trying to make myself useful. If this stream has any purpose, it's that. It's to share my love of spaghetti westerns and to encourage you all to investigate the genre, because my goodness, there's so much good stuff. So the movie opens. It's a while after the Civil War is closed, and KEOMA is coming back to the town where he grew up, where he had his rather unhappy childhood. And the place has changed drastically. When he comes back, he goes into a part of the town that's a ghost town. The production design in this, the art direction, that is to say the look of the movie with the sets and everything, unbelievable. Really, really spectacular. Once again, I got to use that word, apocalyptic. So we see him riding through, through the slats in a broken wooden door that's swinging in the wind. There's lots of dust being whipped up. And we also see these, it's intercut with these close-ups of this old woman's hands. And she's like digging through the dirt looking for anything valuable. And KEOMA comes across her. She's watching him from a distance here. And she asks him, "Why did you come back?" And he says something about, that he's been roaming and traveling, but the problem is that no matter where you go, it always end up in the same place. He feels a sense of destiny. That is to say, he doesn't know what his destiny is, but he feels that he has one. And he's been looking for it. And so he's come back to his home to hopefully fulfill it. And, well, yeah, guess what? He does. The old woman, whom we shall refer to as the witch, and that's what she's, a lot of people interpret her as a witch. And, an old crone, basically. She's a very symbolic character in this. She represents death. Like I said, there's a lot of symbolism in this movie, but it's never leaden. It never feels, it may be obvious, but it's not pretentious. That is to say, this is a movie that's still concerned with one main mission, and that is entertaining the hell out of you. And it absolutely does that. So, yeah, actually, you know what? Let me play you the trailer for that. Yeah, Apex. Tubi is the only streaming platform I use. Dude, I canceled my Netflix. I canceled, and it's the best streaming platform. It really is. I don't know why more people aren't aware of it. They show commercials with the films, but they're not overwhelming. They never get you to go, fuck it, and, you turn the damn thing off. And YouTube has commercials too, but for some reason, people are more comfortable clicking on a YouTube link than a Tubi link, so I try to provide a YouTube link when I can. But people, get over your fear of Tubi and go check it out, because holy crap, you can find so much incredible stuff on there. Let's see here. Where is that trailer? Okay. Here we go. All right, check this out. This is the trailer for KEOMA. I'm going to have to stop it periodically so the stream doesn't get ganked. If it does, it does. But check this out. It'll give you an idea. Well, I mean, what can I say? It's a trailer. The whole purpose of the trailer is to give you an idea of the film. So check it out.
On in. You've been gone quite a while this time. Where you been?
That is the great William Berger, who is playing KEOMA's father. Now, KEOMA is a half-breed Indian. That is to say, he is the son of William Berger's character, who is called the Great Shannon, a legendary gunfighter. William Berger was only 13 years older than Franco Nero when he made this, but they put him in old age makeup and everything, and it works. The Italians were always really great with makeup effects. And basically, KEOMA is a son that he had with a Native American woman.
Where you been? Fighting a war. Meet anybody faster than you?
Not yet.
Remember I mentioned Sam Peckinpah with the slow motion? That's what I'm talking about. And here we have the bad guys. Here we got the bad guys. This is Donald O'Brien, who plays an ex-Confederate raider named Caldwell, who is now a bit of a mining baron, and he and his vicious gang of thugs, really, really bad characters, have completely taken over KEOMA's old town. And what can I say? It's a miserable place. You don't want to be there because there's a lot of bad shit going on.
He shot Ben and Charlie, not even turning around.
Ain't no man can hit a target without looking at it.
There are two men who can. Paul is one, and the other is...
Yeah, it's interesting they mentioned those characters are called Ben and Charlie, because Ben and Charlie, and I think this was on purpose. It's a reference to a movie that Luigi Montefiore, the guy who co-wrote this, did with Giuliano Gemma called Ben and Charlie. Yeah, doing a little shooting with Pa, who of course taught him everything that he knows. I mean, hey, if you're raised by a legendary gunslinger in the Old West, you hope that you're a good shot. Yeah, Apex, I know it's like commercials are like a minute, but it doesn't matter. They'll yank you after like 11, 12 seconds or something like that. It's really stupid, especially when you're showing a trailer, because the trailer is actually a commercial for the product.
This land belongs to Mr. Caldwell, along with everything that's on it. You had to pay for the water, and now you gotta pay for the medicine.
There's Woody Strode, the legendary Woody Strode. Holy crap, what a man's man, what a Chad. He plays a character named George in this, who was a freed slave and basically grew up as KEOMA's uncle. That is to say, he lived with him and his brothers and his father, and was basically KEOMA's idol when he was growing up. And understandably, what can I say? Woody friggin' Strode.
I'll pay this time.
How much you willing to pay?
4 pennies, enough for 4 bullets.
4 cents. The price of 4 bullets. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, Apex, muy macho. Muy macho. My favorite movie of his is still, or my favorite performance of his is in The Professionals. He's just, he's the man in that.
Why are you helping us?
When you've been away so long, your memories won't let you forget the debts that have to be paid.
Yeah, there you see KEOMA crucified, basically. Compared to Christ, not really. I would say more just like it emphasizes him as kind of almost a martyr figure. Although KEOMA's a really, there's a reason why he is Franco Nero's favorite character of all the characters that he played. It's very much a character that is full of contradictions. On the one hand, he's a loner. On the other hand, he is very much concerned with justice and fighting for the oppressed. He's rejected by most of society because he's half Indian, and yet he will basically fight to the death for the society that rejects him. Let's check out more of that.
You've been away so long. Your memories won't let you forget the debts that have to be paid.
yeah, these shots are from the climactic battle that's in the beginning of the third act, or maybe I would say the end of the second act. Fucking awesome. See ya!
Don't try to help us.
Yeah,
Already-
basically, KEOMA comes back to the town, and everything's a mess. There's first of all, Caldwell and his gang of freaking savages have taken over completely. His brothers have joined with the bad guys, and there's a plague. And what they're doing is they're rounding up all of the people, and they're putting them in an old mining camp.
You did.
But you're still afraid. Death hasn't changed that.
Yeah, that's Donald O'Brien. He played the bad guy in a lot of Italian movies in general, and some spaghettis, also in some horror movies, science fiction. He was in a lot of stuff.
Who are you?
Now, I don't know if you've been paying attention to that soundtrack. We're going to get into that because it's one of the sort of points of contention that some people have with this movie. But what happened was Franco Nero said that what he wanted for this movie in terms of music, he wanted Leonard Cohen. Leonard Cohen had done an absolutely beautiful, brilliant score for McCabe and Mrs. Miller by what's his face, Altman. And that's an incredible movie. If you've never seen it, great melancholy Western. The soundtrack in that is really, really great. Then, of course, there's also the soundtrack. The soundtrack to this also kind of imitates the soundtrack, the songs and everything that Bob Dylan did for Sam Peckinpah's Billy the Kid, and God, why am I blanking on that all of a sudden? Oh, that's right. It's because I'm on the spot. Let me look that up really quick because it's going to drive me crazy. Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. There, okay. It finally have to shake that loose.
Who are you doing it for?
For myself, maybe.
Why'd you come back?
Yeah, there's the witch that I mentioned.
The world keeps going around and around, so you always end up in the same place.
Down, around you all, around you tears have no right to cry. The pain
Yeah. I'm going to try not to drop too many spoilers.
you see, the pain you feel, the wrong you do, the hurt.
KEOMA, you can't do it alone.
I have to do it alone, because I am alone.
Yeah, much of Franco Nero's dialogue written by himself, actually. And he also said he actually stole at least one line that's at the end of the movie from a novelist friend of mine. And he was just like, I couldn't help it. And he apologized to his friend. I had to steal it. Yeah, he's just a badass in this.
Now you've done what you had.
There's Woody Strode with the bow. With the bow. One of my favorite moments or scenes in American Westerns is in The Professionals, where Strode is shooting arrows with like sticks of dynamite attached to them and just blowing motherfuckers to smithereens.
And even more than you could do. Stop your life, find your place.
Of course, it's an Italian Western. You're going to see some awesome, awesome stunt work by the Spanish stunt crews that were like the best in the world at the time.
Aren't you tired of killing?
I have to survive.
Yeah, this is this is of course the scene that's from the beginning that I described.
Now to take your life away. No, I won't this time.
Okay, now if you heard so you heard the music. You heard the music, right? So Franco and Nero wanted basically the sound of Leonard Cohen. So they got the DeAngelis brothers. The DeAngelis brothers were guys who they were great at imitating other people, right? So for like You're the Hunter from the Future, which is a favorite of mine, they kind of imitated Queen with the opening song. And they were just good at copying other people. Sometimes not so much. In this, they're imitating Leonard Cohen, and they miss the mark because the singer, as you can hear, sounds like some hippie chick that's caterwauling. And so she's often describing the action. She's like a Greek chorus describing what's going on, right? Go now, save KEOMA, right? Things like that. And down the point where, like, some of the lyrics get very specific. Now, I know there's some people that really don't like the soundtrack. I remember there was a fool on a website that I used to go to, was very fond of, called Cinemageddon. It was a place where you could find a lot of cult movies that you couldn't find anywhere else. And you could acquire them through dubious means, if you know what I'm saying. And although they had a cool policy, which is to say they would never post anything until it was at least a year old. That is to say, if a disc came out, they wouldn't. It was forbidden to post it until it was like a year after it came out. So that was something. Piracy, of course, being a bit of a problem. Now, of course, it's not so much of a problem because people are realizing physical media, bitches. A lot of my millennial friends, they look at all of my DVDs and all my books and all my CDs and all that shit, and they're baffled. They're just like, why do you have all this stuff? I can fit all this on my iPhone, right? But now, with all the censorship and everything, now they get it. Now they understand. But yeah, the soundtrack what was my point? Yeah. So some fool decided to do a fan edit of this movie and remove the soundtrack and replace it with a better one, right? Because the soundtrack ruined the movie for him. And the reaction was unanimous. Everybody was like, "You stupid motherfucker. What did you do?" Like, do you not understand that it's part of the experience? It's part of KEOMA. It's part of the movie. This is what I'm talking about when you love a film, not in spite of its flaws, but often because of its flaws. The flashbacks in this are done in a really novel way. The actors, like for instance here, the witch is talking about KEOMA's past. And so she turns and looks, and this is on like the same area, right? She turns and there's no edit. And as the camera moves, there's no cut, there's no anything. The past is happening right next to them. And in fact, sometimes the actors are seen standing there in the past watching things happen. It's a very novel way of doing flashbacks, which of course are a very important part of the spaghetti western genre. very clever, I think. So there's KEOMA's mother, who was killed in a massacre, and William Berger, his father, the great Shannon, rides in and finds everybody murdered, but he finds KEOMA alive. And yeah, that's right. Then we get the opening credits. And there you can see all the people that worked on the screenplay here, which they were writing as they were making the movie. And somehow, what can I say? It worked out great. So immediately we have these images that are very apocalyptic. Forces of oppression and death are everywhere. These goons are rounding up anybody who has the plague, or anybody that's associated with anybody who has the plague. Lisa's the name of this character. She's played by the very lovely Olga Carlatos, known also for her very stunning eyes. In fact, I think that's why she was cast in Lucio Fulci's Zombie, was because she had these incredible eyes, and he needed somebody, he needed an actress where he could, to jam a giant splinter to her eyes. So I guess he chose her. Oh, Lucio. And so her husband's trying to tell her, like, yo, you need to get away because she's pregnant and she doesn't have the plague. And so he makes a break for it. Others make a break for it and get gunned down for their troubles. A lot of slow motion here, Sam Peckinpah style. And they pretty much killed everybody but her. And then they're ready to blow her head off. And this sick bastard gets a knife in his arm for his troubles. And they look up, and who's there? Why, of course, it's KEOMA, who has come to bring a little justice to this lawless landscape. And so he's like, hey, look, I'm taking the woman. I'm like, no, you ain't. And he's just like, yeah, well, my 12 gauge says otherwise. And these fools, of course, make a very bad decision. And he blows them out of their saddle. Booyah! Yeah, this is another one of the slow motion shots that I mentioned, the Sam Peckinpah bits. And according to Franco Nero, Enzo would show up to the set and be like, okay, today we're doing Sam Peckinpah. So it was very, very, very shameless about borrowing stylistically from other directors, which I think is, absolutely fair game. And so we have Lisa, the pregnant woman, who's a symbol of life. And then we have the crone, who's very much a symbol of death. And yeah, you can see the town has seen better days. They're all afraid of Lisa because they think that she has the plague. She doesn't, of course. KEOMA's not taking any shit. And he's like, hey, no, like, you're going to give her a room. And has to regulate, has to blast some fools, which he happens to be very, very adept at. Like I said, his father was the great Shannon, legendary gunfighter, so he's a fair shakes at blowing people away as well. And yeah, I thought his outfit here is really interesting because he's wearing like an overcoat, but like no shirt. He has a great kind of like a scuzzy look in this. Very wild, very feral. And he suddenly hears banjo playing. And he's taken back to his youth. The banjo player is George, Woody Strode's character. And there he is as young KEOMA, as a child, and he's remembering George, Woody Strode's character. And what a frickin' Chad he was. Here's Woody Strode with that bow, which he was a master shot with. Woody Strode was, by the way, part Native American. And in this is playing like a black dude who's also part Native American. And dude, I mean, look at the guy's physique. He was like in his 60s when he made this. Maybe even his early 70s. Now, I'm thinking like mid to late 60s. But I'm telling you, the guy was like jacked all the way into like old age. Yeah, and Franco Nero says that Woody Strode actually gave him that bow as a gift when when filming stopped. He gave him that bow, and that he lost the bow when some scumbags broke into his home. Fortunately, while he wasn't there, and stole that bow, including a bunch of other stuff. But he didn't. All the other stuff could have been easily replaced. He said he cried the day that he lost that bow. You know, Woody Strode, damn it. And so people are getting gunned down in the streets. It's a complete freaking mess. And KEOMA's, mentioning like, hey, you're really good at shooting dead people. Luckily, they back down. Now, George, his childhood hero, has seen better days. He is a alcoholic who is basically given up. And, you never really see Woody Strode in a part like this. He's always just Studley, right? He's always large and in charge. And this is really the only movie I can think of where you really see him playing a character who's very vulnerable and sad and in some ways pathetic. Although, he has a major turnaround. Now, I was mentioning the flashbacks, for instance, and the style in which they're done. Let me load up another clip. Yeah, dude, you say the soundtrack is like background music anyway. It is, but it's not in this. Do you know what I'm saying? This is a case where the soundtrack becomes obtrusive, or intrusive, I should say. It's commenting on the action, It's what can I say? Some people have a problem with it. I don't. It's one of the things I love about this movie. Here, let's take a look at. So his father, the great Shannon, brings him back home, and his 3 half-brothers do not take kindly to him. Because he's half Indian, also because, he's a brother from another mother. And, they don't want a rival for attention. And this sort of a thing isn't that unusual for children, but this is the case of a childhood grudge that extends into adulthood. And I have some experience with this. So this does happen. So there's KEOMA in the past watching he and his brothers not getting along. What language was that? I don't even know what. I don't think that was Italian, but you can figure it out. He's like dirty redskin.
Hey, Fling! Che so bene?
Yeah, and so here's this lovely moment where KEOMA and his younger self are looking at each other. And I think all of us have that moment in our life where, you wonder if you could meet your younger self, what would you say to yourself? I know what I would say to myself, to my younger self. I'd be like, take it a little easier on yourself, But yeah, very novel way of doing flashbacks. in this movie. I can't say I can think of another movie that that takes that approach. And yeah, then he and his father are taking shots at a little pistolero playground that Dad has in the backyard. Yeah, man. Oh God, if I had a nice patch of land, it's one of my dreams one day to hopefully have a nice patch of land where I could shoot shit, blow shit up, burn shit. What can I say, man? I'm still a little kid at heart. And so the two of them are hanging out, and and he's trying to catch up with KEOMA, who is his favorite son. His brothers aren't wrong about that. But it's also clear to see why. He has a wildness of spirit, but also a really strong moral compass that unfortunately his brothers do not have. And so these goons come to take Olga Carlatos, the pregnant woman, away to the camp, to the former mining camp that's basically now a concentration camp for victims of the plague. And George, Woody Strode's character, tries to stand up to them. He's basically, because he sees this happening, and this is the sort of thing you see, like, a bunch of goons bullying and menacing a pregnant woman. Oh, hell nah. Right? You have to stand up. You have to do something. And so he basically blocks their path, but as you can see from the look in his eyes, there's nothing there to back it up. What's he going to do? He can't realistically do anything, but he does what he can, which is at least try. And so they knock him down. Oh, yeah. Well, first this dude pisses on him, pisses on his boots. And he just stands there and takes it because, of course, he's a broken man in many respects. And they hit him with a rifle butt, knock him down. And then coming down the stairs are the Shannon brothers, who are really the main villains in this movie. That's Joshua Sinclair as Sam Shannon up front. Second up on the stairs is Orso Maria Guarini. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who plays Butch. And the youngest brother, the blonde guy, is Antonio Marcina. Now, this dude right here, Joshua Sinclair, holy shit, man. This dude is a renaissance man. I'm going to tell you some facts about him that are going to blow your mind later. So, they're looking at George kind of like, how the mighty are fallen. Actually, you know what? Let me get into Joshua Sinclair really quick, because this guy has a really, really kind of an amazing story. He started out in acting, and I think in this he's Johnny Lofredo. He had a bunch of different working names, and let me see. Yeah, and this I think he's John Lofredo, but he had some other names too. Anyway, check this out. He had a background in acting, but he gave it up to go to med school and became a medical doctor specializing in tropical diseases. He worked in India with Mother Teresa in Calcutta and with Sister Rosa in Bombay, as well as places in various parts of Africa, all across Africa, treating tropical diseases. And he was also professor in comparative theology. And since his other professions weren't exactly providing any money because he was doing all of this just. I think he's one of those dudes who's like a really serious Catholic, but like in the best way possible, like somebody who really believed in walking it like he talked it. And so the way he made money and still does is as a best-selling novelist and a film and television writer, actor, producer, and director. You can look him up on the Internet Movie Database. What can I say? Dude is a Chad. Like for real. A Renaissance man. The kind of guy I think most of us would like to be. And so here we see the mining camp where the plague victims are kept. And KEOMA shows up to grab Lisa to get her out of there. Butch, of course, ain't having none of this, but oh yeah, as a matter of fact, before he shows up, he's actually menacing this Lisa, Olga Carlatos' character, taking pot shots like at her feet, basically terrorizing a pregnant woman, like as low as you could possibly fucking get. But then KEOMA shows up and he puts a stop to that nonsense ASAP. And we get another flashback, this time from the point of view of his half-brothers. And they're remembering the day that their father brought KEOMA home. And, there's basically KEOMA's point of view. The table's all set up by George and his brothers. It's really interesting, too, because they found these kids that really actually do kind of look like their older counterparts. Like, that's clearly Butch. That's clearly Johnny Sinclair. And that would be, God, I'm forgetting the name of the actor. Antonio Marcina, yes, who plays Lenny Shannon. They're not happy to see him. George is, of course. And thus begins his very, very bad relationship with his brothers. Sorry, I just had to wet my whistle right there. And they're all giving him the stink eye in the worst way possible. This is the first time they're seeing him since he's been back. They've heard he's been back, but this is the first time they've set eyes on him. And yeah, they ain't happy. But they're also know that he's a badass and he'll twist all their asses up into pretzels if they mess with him. So he gets away with a woman. Then the Shannon brothers go to visit their father, and they're pissed off because they're like, "You always loved KEOMA more than us." And he's like, "Look, if that was the truth, that had nothing to do with me. I loved you all equally, but now you guys have taken a really dark path. You've aligned yourself with the forces of oppression and evil and darkness and death." And needless to say, he's not exactly proud of them. Oh, this is a really, really great scene. Oh, I love this. I'm going to have to, I can't resist. I'm going to have to show a clip for this if I got it. Let me see. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. This is it. Oh wow! So the YouTube version I posted a link to. It seems to be Auf Deutsch. But yeah, check this out. This is a great scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Yeah, so the other Shannon brothers have come to confront him. And naturally, They're going to talk some shit, and, well, you'll see what happens. Yeah, basically, they're like, we'll whip your ass. And he's just like, what, the three of you? Like, no, one-on-one. And yeah, he takes them up on that very, very quickly. Oh, wait, I think he already whipped Lenny's ass.
Como é que vai ser? 3 contra 1? Como antigamente?
Eu posso acabar com você sozinho.
By the way, a shot like this is very, very difficult to pull off. They're circling him with the horses, and horses usually don't like being in like super close proximity like this. They tend to get spooked. So, yeah, Master Horseman, the Spanish stuntman. And Lenny is learning a very important lesson in life that everybody should learn, and unfortunately some suckers need to be taught, which is don't write a check your ass can't cash. Yeah, so he's just completely manhandling him, and we get another one of those Sam Peckinpah style slow motion shots. Yeah, and he's looking at him, he's like, next. Yeah. What can I say? Joshua Sinclair, a very good actor, Shakespearean trained, and actually his experience with Shakespeare really came into a lot of the script for this, because like I said, at the end of each day, he would sit down and write the script for the following day's shooting schedule. Yeah, I love it. I love this because he he's like very neatly taking off his coat, and taking off his guns. Crap. Okay, let me get back to that. There we go. Now, surprise, he's a bad guy. Doesn't exactly believe in fair play, but he's like, as you can see here, he's palming his revolver and thinking about it, and then he smiles to himself and thinks better of it. Like, nah. Now you can see the look of the town here. Like I said, the art direction in this is meticulous. The detail is absolutely fantastic. This is also a movie that's very beautifully shot and has a lot of, I think, very inventive camera work. It has a very uncanny atmosphere, which you see in a lot of the Italian horror films from this era.
Jogue fora sua arma. A minha está ali.
It's like, yeah, I dropped my pistol. How about you? And takes this as an opportunity to kick KEOMA in the nuts.
Você não vai levantar? O que há, Indy?
Yeah, so of course he's gonna do a little gloating, but naturally the tide of the tide turns in the fight. Now I was talking about the inventive camera work. As you can see, like this is great because it's a fight that's being shot through holes in a fence. I have to say, out of the Shannon brothers, Butch is my favorite. This actor. Oh God, what is his name? That's what my notes are for. Of course. The actor's name is Orso Maria Guerini. Yes, I'm pretty sure I'm saying that correctly. So of course KM was whipping his ass too. That's a lot of anger. That's a lot of pent up anger. Decades of it. But you know, it's interesting in the spaghetti western genre. If you're dealing with brothers, if there are brothers in the film, they're usually trying to kill each other, or one brother's trying to kill the other brother. It is, I think, a very Italian theme. At least it's something that you really don't see in American westerns. That is a big thing in the Italian westerns. Now the Trinity films, for instance, kind of turn that on its head, right? Where it's like, you know, Bambino kind of hates Trinity, but he loves him too, and that has that attitude, like, you know, you don't have to get along with your blood, but you know, you do have to stand by them. These guys, of course, feel no obligation. What up, Pops? What up, Made in Hell? Good to see you, darling. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate that.
That's my fire.
Yeah, okay. Here we go with the soundtrack. Right? So their father shows up, and the other singer, which I think is one of the DeAngelis brothers, trying to sound like an old man. Now, somebody actually said that he ends up sounding more like Schwarzenegger, which I find really amusing. But yeah, it's like his father shows up and he's like, "There's my father.
Then my brothers and me.
Then my brothers and me. Tell me why they hate me so."
Tell me now.
Right, so Lenny was about to put a bullet in KEOMA's back, but they're not going to do that in front of their father, whom they're angry with, but whom they also revere.
Father, why they hate me so? Now I want.
Yeah, so like I said, a lot, you know, the soundtrack to this gets a lot of hate from some people, but I think it's unjustified. There's a great scene here where KEOMA rescues the pregnant woman, Lisa, played by Olga Carlatos. Now, this scene, for some reason, whenever I see it, always gives me kind of like a Snake Plissken-y Escape from New York feel. Choking motherfuckers to death. Yeah, and then suddenly the witch appears. Like a portent of death. Some people feel that basically, and I agree with this too, the witch in this is used the way that death is used in Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal. Now, if you've never seen a Ingmar Bergman movie, Seventh Seal is a great place to start. It is an art film, but it is definitely not boring, and I do highly recommend it. Now, this is very much that horror vibe that I was talking about. And this was made, of course, as the Italian film industry was, they were stopping the manufacture of the production. They were ceasing production of westerns, and they were moving on to the next thing. And the next thing was crime films, and then horror. Back to horror. There was the Italian film industry was very sort of cyclical that way.
Levante.
Yeah, next thing you know, he's got a gun upside his head. Oh yeah, and then of course we've got this scene, which is definitely classic. George and the town doctor. KEOMA helps them get out of the town because the villains are basically keeping everybody shut in. Nobody can leave. They say it's because of the plague. That's bullshit. So Woody Strode's character, George, and this doctor, they come back with a pile of medicine and food for the people who are, in that town suffering. And, of course, Caldwell's boys aren't exactly happy about this. Actually, let me find... Yeah, because you're going to want this in English. You're going to want this in English. By the way, everybody who's hanging out in the chat, thank you so much. You are appreciated. Smash that like button if you feel like it. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I never tell anybody what to do. And I don't think I've been yanked off the air yet. So let me. Yes, the 4 cents for 4 bullets.
So you had to pay for the water, and now you gotta pay for the medicines.
Classic spaghetti western bad guy. Very, very exaggerated in terms of his cackling and his sadism.
Hey! I'll pay this time.
How much you willing to pay?
Yes, they had a pandemic in those days too. Yeah, except this one was, well, I was going to say, they had pandemics, they didn't have plandemics.
4 cents.
4 cents? 4 cents is mighty little.
The price of 4 bullets. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Aw, shit. Yeah, and naturally he has the pistolero skills to back it up. Yeah, so he doesn't blow this guy's head off. Gives him a bullet with his name on it and tells him, go back to your boss, go back to your friend Caldwell and tell him I'm here. I'm waiting for his ass. And man, then we get a absolutely really spectacular action scene. I don't know if I'm going to show any of that because I really don't want to spoil this movie. too much. You know, I think I you know, if I'm doing this stream for any reason, I think often it's to get people to check these films out because they really are special. They're really not like anything else that's out there. And people have really tried to recapture the magic of these films. And, you know, ever since they stopped making them. And they've always failed. I always feel that it's a mistake to try to emulate the Italian Westerns because it's a time that has come and gone, and you're never going to really recapture that magic. But of course, you are going to see elements in everything from The Mandalorian to, you know, Django Unchained, and which actually Franco, Nero, and wait, is Enzo in that? No, I think Enzo is in Inglourious Bastards, which is a remake of an Enzo Castellari movie, actually. And I think I have another clip. Let me squeeze in another clip since I don't think I've gotten yanked yet. What up, Sim? Good to see you, brother, man. Let's see here. Yeah, this is where, yeah, yeah, and of course, yeah, I was going to say, pay attention to the music. Yeah, try to ignore it. And there's Donald O'Brien as Caldwell, ex-Confederate, with his band of ex-Confederate raiders. You know, knife-throwing killers coming for KEOMA to finally get him out of their hair once and for all. They basically fight for the town. Here we go.
I'm here in front of these men.
Yeah, if you're a fan of this movie, you like me, you're going to try really hard not to kind of sing along.
Gun in hand and waiting for what will be.
What will be, will be. Now, does that sound like Schwarzenegger to you? That doesn't really sound like Schwarzenegger to me. But some of you are like, it sounds like Schwarzenegger.
Back in my mind, see memories. Our bodies on the ground.
And Apex, you know, you said it. You said it, buddy. Instead of recapturing spaghetti westerns, make them your own way with focus and honesty. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. Ah, crap. Did they yank me? Ah, shit. Okay. Gonna have to wait, kill some time. But hey, everybody who's hanging out, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Get a refill over here when it comes back up. Yeah. Actually, I'm not going to get a refill, but what I am going to do is I am going to blow my nose. Yeah, it's, you know, offer some kind of entertainment. Oh man, I look all red like a lobster. I got a lot of sun today. I shouldn't complain. It was a beautiful day out in suburban New York. And hope everybody's doing fine. Man, Sim, I gotta say, brother, I saw that. I mean, you know, I saw it. I commented on it. The animation that you made that's gonna be the intro to your stream with Margine. That's awesome. Awesome. I can't tell you like how happy that thing made me. It's really, really, really cool. And let's see. Give it 3 minutes. 3 whole minutes? So anyway, what happens in the scene is KEOMA is hanging out, ready to throw down against Caldwell and his boys. And then suddenly, in his peripheral vision, he notices the crone, the symbol of death. And so he turns and locks eyes with her. And at that moment, you realize this is probably not going to go the way that he wants it to. It's like I said, this movie has a lot of symbolism. You could consider it on the nose. But like I said, it never feels leaden. It never makes you roll your eyes. It all kind of fits into this surreal netherworld that the movie takes place in. I mean, all of the spaghettis, starting with Fistful of Dollars. The spaghetti west as we know it itself always feels like its own dimension, its own world. One that doesn't obey the rules of the one that we live in, and certainly one that doesn't bear much of a resemblance to the Old West as it likely was, or the John Ford Westerns, which established the genre. But you see, that's the thing. The Old West, I'm telling you, man, like for Six Gun Gorilla, I did a fuck ton of research because I always do research. I'm like Chuck Dixon that way. I really believe it's just like, do your damn research. You're not going to use 99% of it, but you are going to use at least 1%, and at least you know what not to do. Right? It just, what can I say? It makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. And the Old West was a time and a place that was being mythologized at that time. Guys like Wyatt Earp, Billy the Kid, Doc Holliday, they were being mythologized in their own lifetimes in the form of dime novels. And the first thing you realize when you start researching the Old West is that you're dealing with a myth. The Old West is, for us, even though it was a real time, it is so mythologized that it is for us what Beowulf is for the Scandinavians, what the Ring of the Nibelungs is for the Germans, and what King Arthur and Le Morte d'Arthur, the Arthurian tales, are for the English. Maidenhell says, like people flying across the way when they get shot instead of dropping to the ground as per physics. Yeah. Like I was saying, there's like some really great moments in this of that are very Sam Peckinpah inspired. Pale Rider has some KEOMA elements to it. Yeah, I would say. Although really, Pale Rider always felt to me kind of like a retread of High Plains Drifter, which is a much better film. But High Plains Drifter has a lot of Django Il Bastardo in it. Like, there's no question, zero doubt in my mind that Django Il Bastardo was the inspiration for High Plains Drifter. They're two alike. And there's no way that Clint Eastwood wasn't at least aware of it. So these, Caldwell and his men go charging in. KEOMA starts blasting with his shotty, and a big knockdown, throwdown fight starts that is really spectacular. Here he grabs this guy, this bitch ass motherfucker by his hair. This actor, by the way, if you've ever seen The Beyond by Lucio Fulci, he's like the zombie that breaks through the glass and grabs oh god, what am I blanking on her name? Oh, I'm blanking on her name, of course, because I'm on the spot. Grabs the main actress by her hair and tries pulling her in so he can take a bite out of her. And KEOMA just swings him around and throws him to his doom. And I think that is about all I am going to share of KEOMA, because I don't want to drop too many spoilers. Anyway, everybody, go check this out. It really is worth your time. And let's see. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next week. I was thinking maybe Blind Man with Tony Anthony. That's a really good one. I love that one because it's like Zatoichi. That was a series of samurai movies about a blind swordsman. It's inspired by those movies, but it takes a completely different approach. Like, instead of being able to have instead of having superpowers, Tony Anthony's character is blind, so it's an impediment, right? It's a handicap. It's not like he hears a bug twitch and then can blast it out of the air. He just tries to get all of his enemies grouped in one spot, and then it's a spray and pray. So yeah, maybe I'll do Blind Man next week. But either way, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate you so much. Smash that like button if you feel like it. And I will see you next week. And until then... Oh, Maiden Hell says, can you get Dead Man on Tubi? Oh, the Jim Jarmusch movie? I think so. If there's any movie that you're looking for that if you want to find it on a free streaming service, go to the Internet Movie Database, type in the name of the movie, and there is always a little button that you can press that is located on the right hand of the screen that shows you where you can watch the film and where you can find more watch options. And you'd be amazed what you can find on streaming these days. It is a great time to be a fan of cult movies. What can I say? Thank you so much, Maiden Hell. Greatly appreciated, darling. And peace out, Apex. And to everybody else, what can I say? Peace, love,